Hi guys, DevilHunterXYZ, and I am doing a movie review on Creed, which really surprised me because even though it's technically not a Rocky movie, it kind of feels like a Rocky movie in most ways. And honestly, I kind of thought it was just going to be a standard Rocky movie that we've been seeing in the last few installments, where it's kind of more or less average. But this one actually surprised me in that it's almost like it revitalized the entire franchise. So let's take a look. Well, this movie focuses on Adonis Creed, who's the illegitimate son of Apollo Creed, although he goes by Donnie Johnson for the most part of this movie. But as a kid, he spent most of his time in a youth facility, but he is adopted by Mary Ann Creed. And as the years went on, he decides to take up boxing, and he's trying to kind of prove a legacy for himself. He doesn't want to be known as Apollo Creed's son. He wants to have his own person. He wants to be his own individual person. And while at Los Angeles, he tries to get training, but none of the trainers would take him in. So then he decides to go to Philly, where he found out about Creed's rival slash friend, Rocky Balboa. He does meet up with Rocky, and at first Rocky was hesitant on training him because he was out of boxing for a long time, and he really didn't feel like putting more trouble for the Creeds than he already had, because he still felt responsible for Apollo Creed's death. But as time went on, though, Rocky kind of grew accustomed to Donnie and kind of almost made him part of the family. So for the most part of the movie, it's just Rocky training Donnie, become a professional boxer in similar fashion to how we've seen the original Rocky movies. And after winning his first match, he goes on and gets an offer to fight the champion at the time, before he goes into retirement for some reason. And for the most part, he's training for that, and at the same time, he's having a love interest with a local singer. And for the most part, it's just him training and kind of having a life out in Philly. Of course, about halfway through the movie, though, we found out that Rocky was diagnosed with cancer, and he's to the point where he's almost kind of given up since he pretty much lost most of the important things in his life. He lost his wife Adrian and his brother-in-law Polly, fortunately, and he just figured the treatments for the cancer wouldn't really matter that much. He seemed like he was ready to accept defeat. But as time went on, though, Donnie urged him to get treatment, and at the same time, Rocky was fighting his battle with cancer, and Donnie was training to fight against the champion. And as the big match went on, then it's kind of like an actual fight, an actual HBO pay-per-view fight, and it goes on for 12 rounds. And at first, it didn't seem like Donnie was going to even make it, go past the first few rounds, but he proved everyone wrong and kind of shocked the whole crowd for that matter. Well, after the 12 rounds, unfortunately, Donnie still loses from a split decision, so the current champion and still the champion was Ricky Conlan. However, though, the crowd was cheering for Creed. They kind of now honored Donnie as being the new Creed, living up to the legacy of his father. And as the movie finishes, we see both Rocky and Donnie heading up the same steps as in the first movie, kind of reminiscing about the past. Well, for pros, there are a lot of good points for this movie. For one, you have the return of Sylvester Stallone doing Rocky Balboa, and it's been a while since we've seen a Rocky movie. And even though he doesn't actually box, it was still pretty nice to see him in the movie to acknowledge that this is still considered part of the Rocky franchise. Second, we have comedic moments. It's not like they were just throwing in there to try to make it funny when it's not needed, but I think they're pretty good, to help build the relationship between Donnie and Rocky, kind of make them more of a closer family. And it was also so pretty funny to see that Rocky's kind of old, out of touch with society and new technology. Third, this movie shows a lot of similarities between the first movie, and you do see some similar scenes kind of thrown in, and the whole plot itself is pretty similar. You had in the first movie you had Mickey training Rocky to fight against the champ Apollo, And in this movie, you had Rocky training Donnie to fight against the champ Ricky Conlan. And for the most part, they do share a lot of similarities, especially during the training montages. And fourth, I say they do keep some good moral values put into this movie. From like the original Rocky movies. It's more than just teaching how to box and whatnot, but I think it's more just kind of never giving up and always going for it. And getting back up when life puts you down. I really do like they actually kept those moral values. Well, in terms of cons, well, honestly, there's not really much to say about this movie that's bad, but if I really had to nitpick, I would say the moments where Donnie and Bianca are together and trying to hang out, and there were just some kind of goofy moments that just happen, and kind of takes a little bit away from the movie. Well, overall, I say Creed is a pretty good movie. I mean, I've been a fan of the Rocky series for a while, and the last movie it was pretty good. I mean, for entertainment purposes, but it didn't have any emotional impact on me. It was just there for the sake of having a boxing match. But this movie actually goes back to the roots of the whole Rocky franchise and kind of revitalizes everything. And I'm kind of glad they actually did that. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually have a sequel in the works already. And who knows, maybe this could be like the next new series. I mean, it would be great to see Rocky, going for years, but Stallone is old, and is probably gonna retire of that Rocky theme eventually. But maybe this could be like the next new thing. And with that, I will give Creed a final score of a 9 out of 10, and I highly recommend seeing this movie, especially if you're a longtime Rocky fan. Well, this is DevilHunterXYZ, and until next time.